Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the all-night spectacular fight between two of the world's most formidable pugilists. In one corner, we have the undefeated Muhammad Ali. In the other, I don't believe it. Ladies and gents, tonight our very own Ali will be putting up his dukes against a shrimp. Looks like you can never predict what you'll find in life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome to Life, Death, and Taxonomy, your 30 minutes of interesting animal info. I'm Joe.
And I am Carlos.
And today we're talking about a colorful creature.
He's very colorful, flamboyant.
He says swear words.
He has colorful language.
We're just going to go out and say it.
It's the mantis shrimp.
We're talking about the sea locust, the prawn killers, the thumb splitters, the peeing shrimp. The last one's not like...
The peeing shrimp?
The last one is not good for like a fight night type intro.
Thumb splitters is good.
Yeah, it is.
Sea locust sounds...
Yeah, it just looks like a...
It just sounds annoying.
Yeah. The thumb splitter is because when you pick it up, it's not good for your hands if you don't do it properly.
Not good for anything that it touches.
The peeing is because when you pick it up, also, it squirts water.
Okay.
People think...
But it's not actual pee.
Yeah, no.
So this is probably... this might be my favorite animal.
Like ever?
Yeah. It's just so unbelievably cool.
It is pretty ridiculous.
It's a boxing champion.
It is a boxing champion.
Talk about the 1-inch punch. Talk about the 1-inch punch.
On videos, I was looking at a comment said, "One punch mantis."
I like the 1-inch punch better because that's what Bruce Lee was known for, where he just kind of put his fingers up to something and then immediately punch it. But, I mean, this is less than 1 inch, and, I mean, it's ridiculous how powerful these things are. But go ahead and tell us what the taxonomy is.
Here's the how do you... An ickle. Taxonomical?
Taxonomical, yeah.
Here's the taxonomical breakdown. Animalia is the kingdom, as that is a given.
Yeah.
Phylum, Arthropoda. Subphylum, Crustacea.
So it's a crustacean.
That's what I'm naming my first daughter. This is Crustacea. Class, Malacostraca.
I like the enunciation.
Order, Stomatopoda.
Stomatopoda?
I don't know, Stomatopoda with you? Do you want to talk about... No, we won't. We'll skip super family because we're going to talk about different ones. Family, Oda... I'm going to do this.
Do you want me to do it?
Oda... I want to do it, and then you can correct me if I do it wrong. Odontodactylidae. Odontodactylidae.
Odonodactylidae.
Okay, there we go. And then the genus is Odonodactylis.
Yeah, Odonodactylus.
And then type, species, Cancer, Scyllaris.
I'd say Scyllaris. SCY, like a scythe. Mm-hmm. So, sure.
Scyllaris.
So the binomial nomenclature is Odonodactylus Scyllaris.
Do you want to know when it was named?
Sure.
1758.
Ooh, good year.
Mm-hmm. This animal's a good year.
Like, that sounds around the time that Australia was colonized by the British.
Well, they're in Australia.
Are they really?
They're around the world.
Well, I mean, prawn killers. That sounds pretty Australian.
Yeah. So they're in Australia, the Philippines, the Mediterranean, Hawaii, Japan.
Florida.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, they're just where... You can find mantis anywhere where reefs are, basically.
Well, so are they... They're mostly in saltwater. Can they live in freshwater?
I did not see that. Did you?
I saw that the largest mantis shrimp ever caught was in the Indian River in Florida.
So, really? Okay. I want to talk
That
about,
might be a brackish river.
because they're also known to be extremely large in Hawaii. There's a bay that is notoriously dirty. So,
Like dirty with sediment?
like polluted.
Oh, okay.
But because of all the like grossness in there, there's lots of different like nutrients and stuff to eat.
Okay.
So they become large.
Wow. So how large are the ones in Hawaii?
Large. It didn't say. They're just larger than your average lobster. Think about a big lobster. It's probably like that size.
Well, I saw that the average mantis shrimp is about 4 inches long.
Okay.
But on the ones that you'll see in videos are really big ones, which can get up to about 15 inches long. And then the largest one that was caught in Indian River, Florida, was 18 inches long, a full 1.5 feet. That's longer than your forearm. Maybe as long as your forearm, depending
Gross.
on how big your forearm is.
So these types of animals, they're not really limited by their genetics based on what their size will be. Just like the length of time they grow and their lifespan.
And they live a long time, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They live pretty much, I think, the same. They can mate for 20 years. They can have like 30 to 40 mating cycles.
Oh, okay.
So I would imagine that means they live something comparable to a human's lifespan.
Well, lobster, they can live to be like 60 years old, but they're not necessarily biologically immortal. They have to shed their shells just like mantis shrimp do. And eventually the exertion required to shed this shell kills the arthropod. But because they just run out of energy to be able to do that. But these guys aren't lobsters necessarily. They're in the same phylum, Arthropoda, but then it kind of deviates off from there. They're definitely not shrimp, and they're definitely not praying mantis. They just kind of look like praying mantis with their mandibles up like that. And then, I don't think they look like shrimp at all. I think they definitely look like a lobster.
Mandibles? Isn't that like mouth parts?
Oh, yeah, sure. The
forceps?
They're called, called thoracic appendages, which means appendages that come out of the thorax.
Well, there you go. Welcome to thoracic appendages. the air horn version
of Jurassic Park.
Oh,
that sounds annoying.
It's funny.
Do you have any other information about like what they look like in their behavior or anything? Because I really want to talk about 2 very specific things.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. There's a few more things we can talk about before we get to the nitty gritty, the good part. I see you have made a diagram that's pretty accurate. Like, okay, we'll talk. Hold on. We'll talk about what that diagram is of.
All right. Don't understand the preposition.
Okay, so they got pretty good memories for gross sea cockroaches.
Oh, they are gross sea cockroaches.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gross. I think they're terrifying.
As far as sea cockroaches go, they're pretty good looking, I would say.
They're colorful.
They can remember specific neighbors. So, like, if there's another mantis shrimp nearby that they interact with a lot, they'll be like, "Oh, that's Dave." Like,
okay.
That's not
Marty Mantis.
Some similar aminals will be just like, well, I don't know what that's another one. That's it.
Like a goldfish.
I see like one a day. They're all different.
Well, aren't they pretty reclusive? They kind of like to live in just caves, right?
Yeah, typically. But they also have been known to have long periods, long-term. This is good for Valentine's Day, which it is close to now.
Okay.
But not, necessarily when we wait a year. They have long-term monogamous relationships.
Always?
Sometimes.
Like penguins always have monogamous relationships?
It's not a thing that they do. But they can. And
if there are no other...
coordinate activity, quote-unquote. And I take that to mean, for instance, the female will have an egg clutch, right? Mm-hmm. Squirt out a bunch.
Right.
Separate them into, like, equal piles. And then give one to the husband, the mate, to look after while she looks after. So it's like a divide and conquer in terms of egg care situation.
In monogamous arthropodic relationships, husband and wife are appropriate terms. But it's amazing that she knows how many are in each.
I don't know if she counts them out. I think she just like takes up.
She eyeballs it.
Yeah. It's foreshadowing. They also can exhibit ritualized fighting.
Ritualized, so they
which
have
means
like
they
rules?
set up tiny little like torches in a circle.
Yeah,
and then they have like
stands.
a fight club. Yeah, and that works really well with this boxing metaphor. We keep coming back to, and we'll talk about why.
There's a seahorse that sells peanuts.
Yeah. No, I think what that means is you see that in males a lot competing for a mate.
That's considered ritualistic fighting. Yeah. It's not just fighting for no reason.
It's not fighting for like you're trying to take my food or you're trying to kill me. It's like we're gonna fight and whoever wins, like
it's like we must do this.
Yeah.
For honor.
Yeah, for honor and women
and passing genetic code.
That's just a little about the psychology of the mantis shrimp,
which is remarkable for something like basically a lobster, but not really a lobster. Yeah. You don't really see that in crabs or other arthropods.
No, but you will see these. Okay, which one do you want to talk about first?
I want to talk about the claws.
Okay, so you will see these boys beating the crab out of some other arthropods.
Just takes a crab, punches the crab out of the crab shell.
Pretty much. And you can take it away with how they do that.
Okay, because the reason why I wanted to choose this animal was because it's for its size, one of the deadliest animals ever, without poison or without venom.
Mm-hmm.
So it has these two, what I said, thoracic appendages, which we'll just call arms for the sake of not having to say thoracic appendages every time. So he has these two arms that are kind of held back by
hold me back. Let me at him.
Let me at him.
But hold me back.
What do you want me to do? So it's held back by a spring.
A muscular spring?
No, like an
actual metal spring. Like the season.
It's held back by the spring of 2014. No, it's this saddle-shaped piece of cartilage that is resilient, retains its shape, so it can bend that back and then release it, and also use its legs as part of the momentum. So there are two groups for these mantis shrimp because they have mineralized sections on the tips of these, which can be the shape of a spear or can coat it like a club. So they basically kind of take a weapon by mineralizing the tips of their arms. And
is that dependent on species, or can that happen?
That just happens. It's not dependent on anything biologically or instinctually. It's like some just end up being spears, or some just end up being clubs.
That's really weird.
Isn't it weird? So the spear guys are called spearers,
sure,
which makes a lot of sense to me. And then the club guys are called smashers,
sure.
Which,
smashing.
Keep up with me. These are scientific terms I'm talking about.
I think I can manage.
The spearers, they usually eat fish and squid that come by, so they're ambush predators. Because fish and squid are usually much faster than the shrimp, and even though the shrimp can shoot up from the sea floor pretty quickly, they still need to wait for these pretty fast-moving prey species to move by. And then the smashers are more opportunistic because their prey is like clams and mollusks and crabs and things like that. Prey that doesn't move quite so quickly. And they can kind of just walk up and destroy. So the way that these claws work, well, here are some numbers, some staggering numbers that I'll try to make as relatable as possible. So here they are. The claws the arms, they shoot out at 23 meters per second from standing. And so that translates to 51 miles per hour. And while that seems like a lot, that's not the impressive part.
No, I feel like you can move your arm pretty fast, too.
I'm not sure if you can move it at 51 miles per hour.
What was that? From here to here? That was pretty fast.
That was pretty fast. You almost created a cavitation bubble.
What's that?
Well, I'll talk about in a second. But the really impressive thing is the acceleration, the amount of time it takes to get to that 51 miles per hour. It accelerates at 102,000 meters per second squared. And to put that in perspective, gravity works on us at 9.8 meters per second squared. So this is much more powerful than the acceleration of gravity. That means every second. So, I mean, obviously this takes 3 milliseconds. The whole action of shooting out the arms takes 3 milliseconds. But if it were to take 1 second, it would have traveled 102,000 meters. If it were to take 2 seconds, then it would have traveled 204,000 meters. It accelerates another 102,000 meters every second. That's the way the acceleration works. So that's pretty fast. It's some heavy-duty acceleration.
Okay. I've read that it's like the speed of a .22 caliber bullet.
The acceleration of a .22 caliber bullet.
So what does that do to a person or creature? Split your thumbs.
I was just about to say that. We'll just go with the smashers because that's the most interesting one. The spears obviously just goes right through the fish or squid that it's trying to spear, but the smashers, so it'll make contact with the snail shell or the crab shell or the clam shell, whatever, with 1,500 newtons. Which, to put that into perspective, is a boxer, the average boxer punch, like heavyweight, is 5,000 newtons. So this is obviously a lot less than a boxer can punch. So being hit by a mantis shrimp will hurt a lot less than being punched by a heavyweight boxer.
But doesn't that have to do with
pounds per square inch?
Yeah.
Right.
And like mass.
Right. And so I can't really do the proportion where it's like, oh man, if a mantis shrimp
was small.
If a boxer was small, or if a mantis shrimp was 6 feet tall, then how powerful would it be? Because proportions don't work like that. But if you did, it would be 6,000 newtons. If it were the size, if we lived in a vacuum and proportion worked, then it would be able to punch with 6,000 newtons, which is more powerful than the average heavyweight boxer.
But so, like, if you could take that heavyweight boxer and compact the mass into something the size of a mantis shrimp's club, it would probably be pretty good at breaking shells.
Probably.
But if he punched a crab right now, it'd probably just hurt. Depending on the size.
He could probably break the crab.
Maybe.
As a full-grown heavyweight boxer punching a crab on a table, yeah, he'd break the shell.
I don't know.
He'd hurt his hand.
I don't think it's a given, though.
I think it is.
Depending on the crab.
That's 5,000 newtons hitting a crab.
Crabs are pretty thick.
Sure.
With 2 C's.
Do you mean that they're stupid?
No, I mean that they're like, never mind.
I get it. So this acceleration is the main interesting part because so when you move your hand through the water, you're not moving it very fast. And that gives the water behind your hand time to fill the space from the water that you're pushing away. However, when a mantis shrimp pushes out its arms, it's happening so fast and in such short a time that the water does not have time to come and fill that space. And so it creates something called a cavitation bubble, which is, get ready for this. So cavitation bubble forms, and it's not just a vacuum inside. There's gas inside there, and it's usually a noble gas like argon or xenon, and a water vapor. And the speed of the kinetic energy that's produced by this makes it heat up to 10,000 Kelvin.
What?
Which is 17,540 degrees Fahrenheit.
What?
In a fraction.
I did not see this.
In a fraction of the 3 milliseconds it takes for this whole action to take place. Which, if you know about what happens to gas when it's heated up and there's a lot of pressure, it ionizes, meaning the atoms start losing electrons. And, well, they start losing energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation, which is photons. And so when like the northern lights, for example, that's ionized radiation in the upper atmosphere.
Okay.
So you can see it. It's light. And that's what happens inside of this cavitation.
Gives off
bubble.
light.
It gives off light in a process called sonoluminescence, which is light produced by kinetic energy, which is crazy.
So this is like he's like some sort of like airbender /
Sure.
He's a superhero, basically.
Yeah, he is a superhero. But the light, you probably human eyes can't detect it, mostly because it's only there for 1 millisecond, and your eyes can't register that. And also, it's really faint, or it could be on a different wavelength that isn't outside of the visible light spectrum. Mm-hmm. So it's super hot. It lights up, and then this bubble collapses. And when it collapses, all that gas, that ionized gas that's inside, expands outward in a shock wave that is almost as powerful as the actual contact of the arms with the thing. So there have been instances where the mantis shrimp misses with its arms, and then the prey is killed by the shock wave. Ugh. A lot of times it's stunned, but sometimes it's killed. You're going to experience the shock wave no matter what. And if you get hit by the arms, you're going to be doubly hit by the shock wave.
So it's really like, it's not just a one-punch mantis. It's also a two-punch mantis.
It's the 1-2 punch.
The old 1-2.
And so the burst of light could be caused by just the heat, because heat produces light. Intense heat does. Something called Bremsstrahlung radiation, or just the fact just particles colliding into each other make them lose energy, and so they send off a photon, or the ionization of the fluid, which is called corona discharge. Very interesting stuff. So that's the nature of these claws. Also, the G's experienced are 10,400 Gs, so which is 10,400 times the force of gravity.
That'll give you a brownout.
Yeah. Yeah. Blackout, then gray out, then blackout, and then brown out. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about are their eyes, which are unlike anything else in the animal kingdom. Mm-hmm. As humans, we have 3 different photoreceptors, so we can, or color photoreceptors. We can see green, red, and blue. The mantis shrimp has 16.
16.
Oh no, it has 9. Sorry, it has 9 photoreceptors, but it has 6. It can see 16 different colors, where we can see red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, violet. So we can see 6, and they can see 16.
And we see different shades. So
we see
the peach is just like a different.
It's a mix between the two.
Yeah.
But between 2 colors.
Okay.
Or there's shades of white or black. Or
so
red.
They've got 16 of those and different hues. Also, it's probably good to mention that these guys are literally like multicolored, rainbow colored.
Yeah, and they're also fluorescent. Just like a glow-in-the-dark sticker, they absorb light, and then when there is no light, they glow.
Okay.
So that's just on their shells, though. And they use that, they can change the fluorescence, the colors of the fluorescence to communicate or to blend in or something like that. Mm. Although blending in I don't think works very well when you're glowing at night. So they can see all these different colors. They can also see ultraviolet and infrared. They might
like the predator.
Yeah, they might be able to see infrared. They're not 100% sure, but they are 100% sure they can see ultraviolet light. So not just the visible light spectrum, not just colors we can't even imagine, but also ultraviolet and infrared on both ends. Infrared is extremely low frequency, and ultraviolet is extremely high frequency. And a study from the University of Queensland, which is in Australia. Australia.
Yeah.
It shows that
bronculars.
That they can see polarized light, and that allows them to, if we could see polarized light, we could tell the difference between cancer and non-cancerous sections of tissue.
Just by looking at it.
Just by looking at it, because it reflects light differently. And so this kind of circular pattern of polarized light, which instead of radiating out in all directions like light usually does, only goes in one direction, they can detect, which we can't without specialized glasses. And it allows them to see through
polarized lenses?
Yeah. I wear polarized sunglasses. But
they're good for when you go fishing, because you can see through the
water better.
Right.
And more of the light that reflects from the sun off of the surface of the water doesn't go into your glasses. It only focuses on the polarized light coming from the sun, so you can see into the water better. That is a really general way to explain polarized light that I'm sure is much better explained on Wikipedia. So they also have depth perception because they have trinocular vision.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about your little diagram.
My little diagram is of their eyeball.
Uh-huh.
So they have these two huge eyes. Like you see a lobster's eyes, they just look like lights, like tiny lights on the ends of stalks. Like when you're in an airport, those on the tarmac, you see those little blue lights that line the ground. That's what a lobster's eyes look like. But for a mantis shrimp, it's a huge bulb sitting on top of these stalks. And it's divided into 3 regions. It has a top region and bottom region, but it also has this mid band in the middle. And without going into the complexity of eyes, which is a rabbit hole, there's so much that goes into this. It allows it to make 3 separate images, where we make 2 separate images, one with each eye. We have binocular vision. Each one of the mantis shrimp's eyes are trinocular. So it has it can make a total of 6 images.
And they move independently.
Yeah, they move independently and they can look in opposite directions. So they can have a total of 6 images going back to their brain, where we can only have a total of 2.
I don't even understand how you begin to process that.
What is that? It's like seeing different colors. New colors. Like, what is a new color?
I don't know.
So that allows it obviously to have incredible depth perception, which means that it misses a whole lot less than it hits when it's shooting out its claws. So it basically has the eyes of a...
You mean it hits more than it misses?
It misses... Did I say that?
Yeah. I think you said...
I said it misses less than it hits.
Right.
Which
is not true?
No, that is true. Because it hits more than it misses, which is the same thing.
Less than. I thought you said misses more than.
Right. It usually hits.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't hit, then it'll kill you with the shockwave. It'll kill you with the superheated ionized shockwave that's almost as hot as the surface of the sun.
Science magic.
It's plasma. When that gas is heated up to 10,000 degrees Kelvin, that's basically plasma.
That's what they shoot in sci-fi movies.
Yeah. They're just way ahead of us, this mantis shrimp. And so, yeah, it's comparable. Their eyesight is comparable to that of a satellite. The way a satellite takes in and processes information on infrared, ultraviolet, X-ray, all that kind of stuff. Although it can't see X-rays, but it takes in all that information at the same time and downloads it to the brain of the satellite. The same thing with the mantis shrimp. We see colors by comparing our 3 photoreceptors. So we say... We'll take like green and red and decide between those 2 if it's more green or more red, and then take those and compare it to blue and so that we can determine if something is yellow. So
when I'm looking at something blue, it's like my eyeball's like, nah, not yellow at all, bro. Not yellow.
Well, when you're
not green, not red.
When you see something yellow, your brain is saying, well, it's not blue, it's not green, and it's not red, and to the degree that it's not those 3 colors, it decides it's yellow. Here, see yellow. Where the mantis shrimp says, I have a yellow receptor, so here, it's directly yellow.
If it does.
I mean, I'm sure it has a yellow receptor.
What kind of person doesn't have a yellow receptor?
The scum of the earth, that's what.
Us.
Us. So, I think that pretty much covers it. By the way, they're called sea locusts by the Assyrians.
Yeah, the ancient Assyrians. Or new ones. Are
There,
they coming out with new Assyrians?
there is no Assyria anymore. It's like New Babylons.
Uh-huh.
New Babylonians are Iraqis, and New Assyrians are Syrians? I guess. Maybe Iranians. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers the mantis shrimp in all of its glory.
And color.
And power.
You know, sometimes I feel like certain animals just get a little bit more time on the drawing board. It's like, we're going to put more stuff into this one.
Like the platypus or something.
Yeah, the platypus.
It's like, you know what this thing needs? Venom.
Venom and, a duckbill for no reason.
Maybe we should do the platypus, despite how, obvious it is that we should do the platypus. It's...
You mean, that's cliche, but it's still really cool, so we should do it anyway?
We talk about animals that have really fascinating characteristics that you might not know about, but the average person knows about how crazy platypuses are. They're not platypi.
Platter pie.
No. Nope.
It's like little pies that you pass out
on a platter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that'll be a topic for another time.
So, until next time, this has been Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Mm-hmm. And now it's over.